In the words of many a YouTuber, hi guys.
Hi guys.
This is a quick, non-spoiler review of The Many Saints of Newark.
What are you talking about?
The prequel to the smash hit TV series The Sopranos.
I think that's so wonderful. I think that's so gutsy.
I'm gonna start this real quick. My expectations going into this movie weren't high, and I can tell you now, it exceeded my expectations. It's between very good and great. Great in the mob genre it's hard for me to give out that type of compliment.
You gonna let him get away with that?
You don't walk out on me. I walk out on you.
It's a good film, firstly. Secondly, you should go to the cinema to watch this. You bet your sweet ass I went to the cinema to watch this.
The Many Saints of Newark.
It's a cinematic film. It's not like a HBO movie.
That's never gonna happen.
This is a movie for the cinema, in my opinion. I'm of a generation where if you want to see a film for the first time, you go to the cinema. You don't just watch it on Netflix or on streaming services, yeah? He was good. He was very good. The Tony Soprano Michael Gandolfini is playing in this movie is a young, vulnerable, insecure Tony.
I don't want any part of this. None of it. I don't want any part of this.
This isn't Tony with all the charisma, the witty one-liners, the fast-talking thing, laughing in Artie Bucco's face.
I love you.
This isn't that Tony. This is the genesis of how he became the mob boss, the yuppie suburban mob boss, Tony Soprano.
Hey, you kill him someplace else.
He played the role of a nervous, vulnerable kid very, very well. But let me put it to you like this. The essence of this film, just as The Sopranos was like the spiritual successor to Goodfellas at its time when it came out, Many Saints continues this legacy. I can remember in '99 when The Sopranos first came out, this was the first times I had access to the internet, right? So I remember on pre-Google on Yahoo reading, look at this new show, The Sopranos. I looked at it, I see some of the cast from Goodfellas, the non-celebrity cast. I'm like, what's this fake Goodfellas movie, bro? I'm like, this is gonna be yeah. Then I watched it. Within 5 minutes of the first episode of The Sopranos, you forget, oh, this is a fake Goodfellas. Like I say, 5 minutes into The Sopranos, you're like, nah, forget all my reservations, I'm into this. It was an engaging show. With The Many Saints of Newark, after, bro, literally like within the first 2 minutes, you're engaged in it. You're like, oh, alright, this is what it is. Forget, now I can put all my apprehension away and let me just watch this film. In terms of, is this Tony Soprano's story? This isn't his story, this is his mentor, Dickie Moltisanti's story.
Something funny back here?
I'm sorry, Uncle Dick. No, really, I'm sorry.
Who was Christopher Moltisanti from Sopranos' dad. Let me tell you about Dickie Moltisanti. He's basically the archetypal Tony Soprano. He's the guy that influenced Tony to become the Tony Soprano mob boss that he became. What I mean by that is, he was a dysfunctional gangster, but he was more of an archetypal gangster. He was a Newark guy. He was a guy from the neighborhood. He was a gangster from Newark. This is a conflicted gangster. This is a guy who comes off as bipolar. He deals with anger issues. He's split. He's got like a split personality, but he's a street dude. Whereas Tony Soprano was like that. However, he was more of a modern suburban yuppie gangster. Dickie Moltisanti to Tony Soprano is like the real 50 Cent who inspired the rapper 50 Cent. He wanted to emulate and take it to a higher level. Same way with Indiana Jones. Have you seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? The dude who had the hat that Indiana Jones got his persona from, to me that's the real Indiana Jones, but Indiana Jones took it to that higher level. Tony Soprano was influenced and took his influences from Dickie Moltisanti, a street gangster, and then made it on a higher level because he became a boss of the family, whereas Dickie was just like a crew member, a made guy or an associate. In terms of Ray Liotta,
Stay out of his life.
despite the fact Ray Liotta played Henry Hill in the greatest gangster movie in my opinion of all time, Goodfellas,
This is all in your mind.
You're a lousy.
again, within a few minutes, you forget it's Ray Liotta, the dude from Goodfellas and all the other films he's been in.
That's the Goodfellas guy.
Oh, Goodfellas was a long time ago.
You think, all right, this is Hollywood Moltisanti. This is the character that he's playing. I won't give any more spoilers about this character, but you're going to see for yourself. In terms of new characters, Dickie Moltisanti, fantastic.
I'm listening.
Destructive, self-destructive gangster, great. Kind of like a gangster version of Harvey Keitel in Bad Lieutenant. The other new character, Giuseppina, the Italian girl, really interesting character, great story arc. Don't want to give too much away. I'm not going to tell you her backstory, but you got to watch it. The movie's strengths again is the family aspect. Livia Soprano, when she was a middle-aged woman,
I'm not some lunatic.
as opposed to an old-aged woman.
Stop telling me how to live my life. You just shut up.
Bro, she's a bullbuster from the beginning. She's going to give you large ones the second you walk through the door. And that's what they showed. And it showed how Tony basically got messed up from this.
I don't want any part of this.
What this?
He's a young kid in search of validation because he never got validation from his mom. His dad was a tough guy, gangster, but it shows in the movie his dad goes to jail a lot. So there were years where Johnny Boy Soprano's in jail and is just left with his mum. And the only influence he has is his mentor, Dickie Moltisanti. You know what? You know when The Sopranos was on, everyone was like, if Livia's such a bullbuster, how could this Johnny Soprano, so Tony's dad, be this tough gangster and be married to a bullbuster like her? If you look at real life gangsters, the most famous modern gangster, John Gotti. His wife was that type. He used to call her Butch as a nickname. When his son was run over by a civilian, wanted to give that civilian a pass, John Favara.
Done this job.
No, leave it alone, Sammy. It was an accident.
His name's Favara.
The wife was on his ass to have the guy killed.
There was an accident and they killed a neighbor. I think he was goaded into that by his wife, drove him f***ing nuts.
John Gotti, the big tough modern day gangster, had a wife she came off like who was potentially BPD, just as Melfi said.
I say what your mother has at the very least is what we call borderline personality disorder.
A borderline personality disorder.
John Gotti's wife was somewhat of that ilk. Oh, the other little touch I like what they've done is with Livia, the actress, they put prosthetics to make her look like Carmela Soprano.
Wait a second, where are you going with that lamp?
Who was his wife, Tony's wife in the TV series, to make it look like he's got that Oedipus complex. His mum screwed him up to the point where he never got her validation, and thus he was always searching the validation of an emblem, a symbol wife that represents his mum. The symbol of his mum gives him the validation his actual mum never gave him. That was a touch of genius, yeah? The movie's flaws, I'd say, the way the black gangster narrative is interwoven into the overall movie is a little bit lacking. It's not terrible, it's not really bad, it's just not as strong as the rest. The guy Harold, who's like Dickie Moltisanti's arch nemesis in more ways than one, and you're gonna see that.
How you doing, son?
They tried to give him some backstory. Look, he's originally from North Carolina. Their family background was a little bit underdeveloped in juxtaposition to, of course, the Italians. You could have built up the black family backstory a little bit more. Like I say, they tried to, but a little bit more. The way you interwoven the storyline, make it a real paradox of black gangsters with family stories versus Italian gangsters with, of course, family stories. That was the only flaw, I would say. I'll be totally real with you. This is the best prequel I've ever seen.
It's that simple.
Something huge like Star Wars. They done the prequel in 99. Brother, it was terrible. It was so bad. 99 is when the Sopranos started, yeah? And 99, at the same time, that's the year when the Star Wars prequels came out. Stupid CGI. This is nothing to do with the films that we grew up watching with Han Solo and stuff like that.
I love you.
I know. The reason I'm mentioning this is when you tell me prequel about a beloved movie or TV series, I'm always like, well, I'm always apprehensive because the biggest thing I can compare it with is the Star Wars prequels, and they were shit. Don't tell me nothing, bruv, about Lucas was being innovative with his CGI. It looks like a cartoon, bruv. It looks shit. Whereas this felt like a real 60s, early 70s America. This felt like a real Newark story. It's the best mob movie I've seen since The Irishman, and it's probably a little bit better than The Irishman. You don't really get good mafia films anymore. The Gotti movie with bloody John Travolta was atrocious.
You're never gonna see another guy like me if you live to be 5,000.
There's some stuff by that guy William DeMeo, who's been trying to be famous for 25 years now. He done that show Gravesend.
You got a lot of balls now. I respect that. You gotta use your head.
You think to yourself, the mafia genre's played out. This just injected new life into the mafia genre. I'm giving it a 7.5. It's between a 7 and an 8. It's between very good and great, basically. I highly recommend everybody, if they can, to watch it in the cinema as opposed to stream it, just because it's a cinematic event. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to build this YouTube profile, and I'm good for the YouTube industry. Like, I'm good for the industry, innit? Like and subscribe. You're gonna get the real low-down review nearer to Christmas. Peace.